Alrighty, everyone. Welcome. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Thanks for joining us for the finals of the Cyber Shadow tournament. Looking back, I can't believe we started this 2 months ago now, which seems like wow. I can't believe it's been 2 months and we've had so many races. That's okay, Diane. Take your time. Discord is a thing. Don't even worry about it. So yeah, these are the Return to Mekacity finals. Turkey is in top brackets and Mashia is coming up from lower brackets, meaning that in this best of 3 scenario, which these finals are, Mashia, if you were to win today, would actually reset the bracket, and then we would have another best of 3. So that's basically what we're working with. We're gonna have a best of 3 today, so we're seeing up to potentially 3 races, at very least 2. I'm gonna get our racers kicked off, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get Diane, my co-commentator, sorted as well. I'm gonna get these guys going. Diane, are you able to hear me?
I'm able to hear you.
Okay, excellent. Discord's a thing. Don't worry, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, it stays black for some odd reason, so I can't really see anything. So I'm a little bit delayed, unfortunately, I guess.
I can try and restart the screen share for you if you'd like and see if that maybe sorts it out.
If you could do that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, totally. All right, I'll get that all sorted out for you. Meanwhile, our runners, of course, are just getting started in the intro tutorial section, which is nothing fancy, really. It is basically how to run, how to jump, how to hit a switch, what a switch looks like, things of that sort.
Yeah, it's a standard Chapter 0 stuff. The thing you like to see the most is how close and how fast they're going to get with all the ledge boosts that are possible in that certain section. Now, if only I could get Discord to work somehow. Without all irony, it does show the thumbnail, and it just shows the thumbnail working, but that's a little too small to work off with.
No, that's fair. If in a pinch situation, you need to perhaps view the stream directly, or maybe even view the runners directly, it should be close enough, I would imagine. If you wanted to pull up each of their streams individually and not worry about the Discord screen share. I know Discord would think.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just has to be, of course, on the day of the finals. So let me try and see if I can pull up a multi-stream now.
I had a power outage until a couple hours ago, so trust me, I was very much in a panic mode. For those that don't know, we had a tropical storm hit last night. And we lost power basically before I went to bed. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. So yeah.
Make sure you stay safe.
Thank you. So here we are in stage 1. This is going to be, as we always call it, a stage of cycles. You're going to see the first of them coming up here. It's going to be a set of platform cycles. Our runners are going to be trying to make, of course, the optimal cycle in every case that they can. They typically play both of them on 60 FPS. Turkey is on PS4, so that's the only option. Mashia is on PC, but is a 60 FPS player, so both of our runners will be able to do what we call ledge clips. So ledge clips essentially allow our runners to gain a tiny bit of extra height, putting them up on top of semi-solid ledges by moving towards the edge of that ledge just at the very peak of their jump, basically when they would start to drop down. Kind of forces you up. It's a little bit of a grace option or a grace setting that is coded in, and we kind of use that to our advantage to skip ledges here and there. That was Smasher. It's not too hard of a mini-boss. It is already gone.
Yeah, the Smasher is one of those things that you see in speedruns. It comes and goes as it is, because it is, of course, the first introduction to basically a mini-boss to the first chapter, with the Apparator coming up later, spoilers. But we're already up in these finals, and both of our runners are already in the room where you're going to attempt to try and get at least all the 3 cycles lined up to get a quick what you call it again? A quick damage boost at the end. They all have to be lined up perfectly so they can essentially set you up for the third one. Meshia, unfortunately, as I can see here, just missing one of the setups and has to do it a little bit slower, is on 1 health, meaning he has to be very careful about trying to go forward. TKY currently also trying to grab those ledges and is quite up to speed, as he already is into a quick cutscene.
Yeah, the room that Mishi is finishing here is just, it's so hard to get ideal, basically because it's such a lengthy room, and the cycles across all of those platforms start as soon as you enter it. So to carry that ideal cycle all the way through is just a really, really tough thing. It's, I would say, probably the hardest room in stage.
Yeah, it's quite a challenge. It only saves you up to 4 seconds each time. And the risk reward is quite worth it because you can literally attempt it and you can fail it and then continue on to your normal cycle. But it's so tight to get it. You have to do almost 2 near perfect ledge clips to get back onto the cycle you want. But yeah, for the apparator fight, our runners are going to look for certain setups to try and hit them, see if they can hit the apparator before he goes up into the air a bit too quickly. And if the apparator hangs in the air, we can always try and clip what we call his toenails. You need to stand on either of 2 very specific spots where your sword can just barely hit him.
And even then, it's difficult. Like, you have to do it at max height, and like, there's not even the entire sword hitbox hits at the maximum height. So like you mentioned, it's a very, very tricky damage to get once he's up in the air like that. Turkey with another ledge boost.
Yeah, Chapter 10, of course, we're trying to make the most use out of the shuriken we're going to get, which is going to be a little bit of damage boosting from bugs, for example. Meshia, of course, is going to grab the extra SP here, just to grab that little bit of extra safety going fast in the earlier and later chapters. I actually think a small prediction from my part would be that Meshia is going to try for more explosive strats to try and catch that little bit of time, because if you look at the consistency of both of these runners, it is seriously mental in my opinion.
Both have been PBing regularly throughout the tournament, which is, at the level that they're at, very hard to imagine, because once you hit a certain caliber of run, you have to realize that your amount of PBs are just going to plateau based on the nature of how much time there is to save across the entire run. And it's a long run, so there's a lot of things that can easily go wrong, resulting in a lot of resets. Turkey here taking out Laser Brain. This is another mini-boss that's not really too much of a challenge if done ideally. Has a weak spot in the middle of the eye. It's a little core, and you'll see an extra kind of slash across it, meaning that you get the extra damage there. Generally not too hard of a boss. Both of our runners, I would imagine, are going to purchase the Blade Extend upgrade prior to the mini-boss. You'll likely see Meshia do it here.
Yeah, the Blade Extend just makes it a little bit easier just to make that breach. The thing you're trying to go for is try to hit the weak spot twice during a single jump, which is of course quite timing based. It's quite doable to learn, but it's still quite of a struggle because you need to get yourself prepped for that. And both of our runners make quick work of the Laser Brain, so you know, and that means that we're up to an elevator section. Just cue the elevator music. We're going to wait.
Yeah, not too much to be said here. It's just trash.
It's literally trash trying to kill you. So if you get killed, you get killed by trash. I don't know if you want to have that on your name, but yeah, that used to be quite my case in before the updates.
Yeah, Turkey, I know, was kind of debating if he wanted to switch over to the new patch, which dropped during the tournament and was the first patch that our console runners actually got, where the PC runners have had 2 updates since release. So he was kind of debating whether or not he wanted to make the change, because you know what you know, and this late into a tournament, do you really want to necessarily compromise exactly what you know? And it sounds funny because there's a lot of beneficial things that happened across multiple patches, but there were also enemies that were removed. So if you're stuck on patterns and regular strats that you have, and all of a sudden an enemy is gone, that's a very drastic change. So he thankfully did move over to the new patch and has been enjoying it. PB'd, my understanding is I think he PB'd last night, if I'm not mistaken, what I heard.
He did. He set a new world record. The last minute barrier for now has been broken. He PB'd with a 52:38.
Wow, a mid 32 at that. That's incredible. Yeah.
To put it. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
To put it in perspective, that's almost a near perfect run with almost near perfect RNG. It is literally just about 30 to 40 seconds off of what is humanly possibly achievable. And that includes things like longboats or elevator cycles RNG.
That's phenomenal.
It is absolutely mental. I saw it last night and it completely blew me out of the park. I was like, please just don't mess up the last part.
Yeah, that, we've seen the minute barriers come off, and we have a lot of runners that have now achieved the sub-hour mark, and I know you yourself are getting close, which is excellent. It's just to see it get as far as it has, and to see our runners, like you're seeing here, push this game as far as they have in such a short amount of time since release, which, this is a 2021 game. This is not an old game with heavily revised strats. These are, people that are still working to optimize up to today, and you see chat in the strats channel regularly, so the growth on this game is still phenomenal, but to see it another minute barrier broken is gonna be tough, I think, because 38 seconds is a lot to take off, and as Turkey continues and as all of our runners continue to PB, they get closer to their sum of best, and we need to keep kind of racking our brains as to what the next thing is to push this game.
Well, the thing we're at now is not breaking minute barriers anymore, but now we're breaking second barriers, like trying to optimize rooms, basically. That's the point we're currently at, and I already think we're getting closer to things like saving frames left and right, and that we might actually have to think about incorporating things like slash cancels, where you use rising fire, jump, and a slash nearly close to each other.
Both of our runners cruising their way through Stage 3. Stage 3 is kind of where it's, in my opinion, the calm before the storm. Ironic, given the situation I dealt with the other day. But it's kind of the calm before the storm. The jams are nice, and a lot of the platforming is pretty safe. You're not facing a lot of instant death things as long as you're mindful of your health. The checkpoints are frequent enough that it's not too daunting, the stage. That being said, there's a couple things that can still go wrong. There's a couple pits that can still instantly kill you. Turkey looked like he went for a ledge grab there, and unfortunately didn't get it, had to deal with the red robot as a result. But both of our runners making really good progress so far.
Yeah, Chapter 3, to simply put it, you get lulled into a false sense of security for Chapter 4. You get chances to go quickly with all the ledge clip options. You can get quite a few ledge boosts in, and you're trying to beat Hunter Tank as fast as possible, because the next checkpoint after that, if you make a mistake between the Hunter Tank and the next checkpoint, any death is quite punishing at that point. And with that, Turkey is already gone with the Hunter Tank, so that's one of the examples that we think of is how to deal with the Hunter Tank. Is you basically slash the top off, he sinks down to the bottom where he becomes a giant dome, and you need to slash the giant dome as fast as possible while trying to deal with all the mini turrets, as Meshia is right up to that point right now, using a little bit of rising fire with the save the speed he had earlier, making the fight just go a little bit quicker. And he also just melts the entire boss. But yeah, the cycles just won't stop there. You still have the entire room. So you just dealt with a boss fight, and now you're up to a new room that still tosses fire at you, has enemy placements, and they're still trying to get you out of your comfort zone, to put it that way.
Yeah, the fireball immediately following that mini-boss is something you always kind of need to be cautious of, and you kind of learn to determine where the previous one is as to where you are in that cycle, because you can come out of that boss fight, and if you jump up onto that ledge and you're at the precise wrong timing, you'll basically get bodied by your fireball and get knocked back into the pit. So once that happens, I think you generally learn to recognize, okay, this is the bad part of the pattern, and then you just watch out for that specifically.
Oh yeah, you definitely need to experience to know its full effect. I'm speaking from experience here.
Oh, Turkey with a second try ledge grab there.
Yeah, that's a tough one. There's really basically no setup for certain ledge clips in Chapter 3. I mean, there is one in the train room, which is basically you can use your scarf to check if you can see when you can execute the ledge clip, but a few others, I just always personally say, have a strong belief and just jump for it.
Yeah, there's kind of two different setups that you'll see. There's some more guaranteed setups, and I'll use the term guaranteed very, very loosely. And what I mean by that is if you're consistently going to the left or the right and you need to jump at a certain point, it's a little bit more gracious to find a visual cue and just say, okay, I need to full jump here. But some of the ones like in this vertical section that you see before Biohunter, it's completely within your control kind of to jump and then press the direction because you're not holding left or right. So those ones tend to be a little more difficult. We see one runner exiting Biohunter and the other entering Biohunter.
They are literally half a Biohunter apart. It's not even a joke. Yeah, but for Biohunter we purchase a thing called a swag blade, which you can see spinning around. It's a yo-yo with blades. It's quite dangerous, but it's under our control. We know how to deal with it. And we use it to quickly hit the Biohunter in his first phase. Because he's flying up there, we can't reach him, the blade can't reach him, so the swag blade can. So we swag array around it. And then for the second phase, we set up the swag blade just perfectly so it is on its way to hit him when he gets out of his iframes. And he gets a return hit. And after the fight, we get to keep it to detonate a certain explosion on our way into the first set of the cave. And you can't really see it. Meshia is currently going for it. And you just do a small jump or a rising fire. You swing it upwards. You hear an explosion. You have no idea where it's coming from. It means that detonating the bomb is a success. And a small high five here for our runners. One exiting the monkey shrine and one entering it. Oh, just missing the high five.
Yeah, we literally have the screen transitions and the wiggles going on at the same time. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I feel like this monkey shrine climb has gone through so many revisions, and you know, there's a lot of little nuances and different runners will tackle it in different ways. The main point is, of course, keeping the swag blade from destroying the boxes that will normally help you on the way up. But there's a couple different paths that you can do through this climb that realistically are all reasonable and are really just preference based.
Yeah, the main thing really is just the thing you mentioned, avoiding the swag blade hitting the boxes, because those boxes are actually used just to get that extra height up in there.
First switch went well for Turkey. Let's see how the second one goes.
Oh, it went okay.
Knew he had to wait.
Oh, sorry, yes?
Yeah, he knew he had to wait. So he was watching kind of the enemy pattern, and they tend to be a little finicky. They float up and down, and it's a really crowded spot on that right side. I find that one more frustrating than left side myself.
Yeah, the right side is a bit more frustrating. You can use a few setups, get rid of a few enemies, but initially if you want to go for the quickest one, you have to wait for the hover cycle to go fast. But it is possible to jump from the middle platform and throw a shuriken, as you saw Meshia doing just now. It is a really, really tight setup, and you have to ask the flying snakehead we saw earlier guarding it if you're allowed to pass or not, because he can go up and he will block your shuriken. And he has a tendency to do that often, which is quite of a common theme in Chapter 4, where enemies just get in your way and you have no idea where they're going to end up respawning. So a lot of our runners are going to adapt a lot to enemy placement and strategies as they're continuing on through the chapter.
Into our first cyber section. We have literally become Cyber Shadow. That was about half of a cyber section. That's the only one we're going to cheese, but basically, for some reason, instead of having to hit the whole sequence of switches there, you can just hit the one and then be done with it. And Turkey got another strat.
Yeah, you have to do a really tricky damage boost through one of those electric wires to set yourself up for the right cycle of the movement of the platforms once you exit the actual cyber dive room. And so we're going to see Meshia trying it as well. I know he has been practicing a lot, losing the swank blade on the go. Ooh, gets the first part, the third platform. Okay, safe. It's really scary because once you mess up during those cycles, it's literally a fatal decision to make if you're not going for it. You can at the first part of another strat, you can still always back up, but once you go for that third platform, yeah, that's a dangerous one.
We see Turkey going through the infamous cycle room with the drop. It looks scary. As long as you know where you are on that cycle, it's totally safe. If you're ever in doubt, just opt out.
There is a backup strategy where you actually fall down, take intentional damage, and then land on the middle section and still be on the same cycle, but it's really tough to get also. You have to be near exact in the middle and then not be afraid to die from the spikes if you actually go for the backup strat. Because in the end, you're still waiting for this drone eye pillar thing. The blue pillar you're trying to work down on.
I think we've actually mentioned to it, and I mean, thankfully we haven't seen anyone fall victim to it where we've needed to see the example, but spikes in this game are instant kill. It is worth noting for those of you that are new to Cyber Shadow. That is a instant return to previous checkpoint and try again. Doesn't matter your health, doesn't matter what tools you have at your disposal. So it's generally very scary, and it's surprisingly easy to get knocked into spikes. And there's no real grace. It's not like you take damage and you have iframes, then you can get away from the spikes. You just bump and you're dead.
Yeah, that is basically how spikes work in this game in a nutshell. And that's quite unfortunate if it happens to you. Because for runners of this caliber, it's usually a reset at this point, especially since you're early on in the game. You're in Chapter 4, checkpoints are far and few in between. Yeah.
Right, Turkey's first cycle on Mecha was a little bit shy on the damage you'd kind of normally hope for a 2 cycle. Let's see how the second cycle goes. Yeah, so kind of lost it because of the first cycle. The second cycle was really good. Oh, actually got 2 damage there. That was close.
You could have gotten him 2.5 cycle on the way down.
Yeah, I was expecting him to shoot him on the way down.
That's what I was expecting as well. Meshia also ready on the first cycle. Got a little bit more damage in than Turkey, but misses, of course, unfortunately, the first bit. Looks like they're both going to get a very well respectable 3 cycle.
Yeah,
but the unfully charged... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Meshia unfortunately missed the blaster fireball on the second cycle. It wasn't even fully charged. It was 2/3 the way there, too, so it wouldn't have done an ideal amount of damage had it made contact. But both of our runners basically coming out with a very similar Mecha Dragon fight, and gonna high five again in these temples on the way in and out. Literally during the screen transitions again. Okay, cool.
Yeah, one is phasing out and leaving, and the other one is trying to see if they can get a better RNG for the crystals. It's kind of weird how these ninjas spawn. You have these 6 flames up on the top. You see these flames fly towards those... those orbs fly towards those flames. You try and hit them, and if they land on the floor, as you can see on Meshia's side, they block your attacks, and they like to do that.
Yeah, that right one just decided to give him the business. They block for an excessive amount of time for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's the thing you really want to avoid if you have the option to.
I just say I'm so glad on Turkey screen. Those that haven't played on Old Patch or are not that familiar with Old Patch wouldn't know, but in this section, I am so glad they took out that little cannon at the bottom of the vertical section before you start going left.
I definitely didn't soft lock on that one or anything. No, if you actually used one of those fast falling airstrikes, you could have an option of getting stuck into him, and you would have to see yourself die to him, taking damage repeatedly over and over. So that was a really quite a big hassle. I'm glad they removed it, dealt with it. Meshia using quick use of those pogos, trying to go for the upper strat, probably switching over to the shield. So we're going to see a bit of different strategies here. One is opting for the shield, the other is opting for the charge blaster. And basically the main reason the runners choose to have a different option is one is more used offensively. You have to go for a different type of skip. Whereas one you have to beat a boss before you can skip, and the other one can already access the skip. So it balances each other out a little bit. But the difference is that if you can keep the gun into the next chapter, you will get the advantage of dealing extra damage over there and breaking stuff earlier, whereas the shield doesn't really have that option.
I'd recommend runners actually get comfortable with both if possible, because for the first while especially, if you're trying to carry the blaster through that section just prior to the reactor fight, it can be a little bit difficult, and it's very easy to get hit and just lose some health, and you may want to top up and then go into the reactor fight with a full health shield opposed to a 2/3 blaster. So I would say, become comfortable with both if you can. It's definitely worthwhile to have that contingency in your back pocket. Preference is also good, of course, but it's always good to kind of understand both strats and how each work for the stage that follows.
That is a very good approach, actually, because most runners actually do have a preference to go more defensively or offensively based on what they're taking with them. But being prepared for both is always a good thing. But yeah, the reason they're taking these sub-weapons is, as I mentioned earlier, there is a certain button we are trying to hit off-screen, whereas the E-Field, of course, has a bigger range of hitting things off-screen than the Charge Blaster does. And that is mainly the big difference for getting either skip. As you can see here, just a little bit, just to hit that switch off-screen, blasting through that door.
Both of our runners have taken one hit in this stage. Meshia took one during the boss fight as well, so he's only got 1 health left on the sub-weapons. We haven't explained yet to anyone that didn't know that sub-weapons do have basically 3 health, and once you take that 3rd hit, you lose it, regardless of your health and how, if you've restored any or anything like that. So Meshia's kind of in a little bit of a more scary situation where Turkey still has that 1 HP of headroom on the sub-weapon.
Yeah, but then again, the difference is Turkey has to beat the second boss of Chapter 5 with it, and has to do it near damageless, or can at least tank 1 damage to get the skip in, where Meshia just has to make it through right now, and just has to deal with the first boss.
Absolute respect for anybody getting second skip, because, getting the first one is tricky enough, and to have the ability to carry this through and stay relatively damageless throughout what is essentially an entire chapter at this point. And then if you're carrying the blaster, chapter and a half, that goes all the way back to Mecha Dragon.
That is no joke. Yeah, but at the end of Chapter 4, we essentially pick up a parry ability, which is essentially quite a broken ability, because it adds up extra damage once you get to a boss, for example, and they fire projectiles at you. You can parry them. And that parry damage adds up extra damage when making quick work over bosses. And of course, with the Charge Blaster, it already just melts the entire first phase of Alpha 1. And it's going to be a little bit of different for Meshia. I know he is quite prone to shooting off the shield earlier just to get the parry in, or getting the shield in. Yeah, he's going for the safer strat on Alpha 1, making sure he's not going to lose the shield. He knows he has 1 health left on his sub weapon. Gets actually a nice parry in with the shield facing in front of him. That's actually something I haven't seen before. That's quite amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that either. He was very diligent about shooting off the Crescent entering into the fight, knowing then he had the ability to work with that first set of shots. There's kind of a couple different ways that you can approach Alpha 1 based on which sub-weapon you have, and they're both kind of nuanced as well. And there's preference to it as well, like even the Crescent fight and having the E-field fight. Some runners will opt to do it with their back turned so they can parry turned around. Some runners will opt to do what you saw Meshia do in shooting the Crescent off and then working while the sub-weapon is taking that time to restock and regenerate. But they're really impressive fights to do, and again, we're seeing both of our runners taking the sub-weapon the distance.
And they're both getting the second skip. Meshia, of course, activating it before the fight, and Tky activating it after the fight. So that's mainly the big difference between both of these weapons. Let's see actually how far he's going to take the gun, because I know he is capable of even bringing the gun further into Chapter 6 up until the point of Chapter 7, which is, in my opinion, quite madness at this point.
Mini pointing out that neither of our runners got narc-orbed. So in that last section before Alpha 2, there's the big purple orb that follows, and unfortunately it can be very persistent at times. It's rare that it decides to go the entire distance, but when it does, it's nobody's friend. And there goes that blaster.
Yeah, probably just to make sure for safety. I know Meshia is going to get rid of his shield in the same section, just to make sure that it doesn't bother him while going up the elevator. Because if you fire the shield at the same time you're hitting the door to go through, the shield will actually activate the elevator part, and you're going to get locked out of the room. Which is a really unfortunate thing to happen, especially during a race. You really don't want to see that happen.
We see Narc in chat too, and I have to imagine the thought process behind it. Oh my god, this is what gets named after me in this game. Alright, Chapter 6.
Sorry, not sorry.
It's spiky.
Yeah, Chapter 6 is a short chapter, but it's spiky, it's fast, it has alarms, and if you trigger one of those alarms, you see the angry Mario Sun that does, I think, 3 damage? I don't even want to know. We don't want to touch it, we're trying to get far, far away from it as quickly as we can, because it deals a lot of damage, it works like a swag blade, it always comes back to you. And yeah, it's quite annoying. As you can see here on Tky's side, it's quite fast too. It will catch up to you no matter how you dash, how you jump for it. This room in particular, it's really quick. We trigger the alarm, get through all those hover bombs, refresh all the SP, the saw blade is summoned, we hit a bomb, the saw blade hits the bomb, or the angry sun, sorry, I sometimes call it the saw blade. And then we quickly make our way to Tunnel Cleaner. As you can see here on Meshia's side, he's also opting to trigger the alarm. Oh, just missing the first bit of dash. Don't know how the sun is going to react. It's a little bit of hairy situation. He got through it nicely.
Ooh, nice. Very nice Tunnel Cleaner kill by Tky. A couple different variations again. That's one of those... I want to say that Cyber Shadow as a whole is just a very nuanced game in terms of there are so many options that our runners can do in terms of room strats, and there's nothing wrong with having preference. There's preferential boss strats. You can tackle the Tunnel Cleaner in any number of ways in terms of forcing the bomb spawns, doing the double bomb overlay to get that extra damage, or you can opt into a different pattern that's basically the same time anyways. So like, all of our runners have collectively, and the community collectively have done a great job in coming up with alternative strats to kind of fit your preference as a runner that are essentially equally as fast as all the others. So it's really nice.
Yeah, basically how it works is you get a plan, you get the concept, and you get to play around with it, because if you're both going to end up with the same strategy, or with the same pattern on the same time, then killing it won't make it such of a hassle.
Tky making short work of these knock-knocks.
Yeah, these doors are a real pain to work around with. You have these doors that block your entry to Chapter 7, at least the second part of Chapter 7, and they're called knock-knocks. And the first one isn't really much of a challenge. He hangs his head down, you can rising fire him if you want to. Makes really quick work of it. But the second one has these instant death spikes and moving platforms, and this thing is now suddenly also moving more around. So your first experience with that second knock-knock, yeah, it's not as fun as you would want it to be.
I'm waiting to see, Meshia usually takes advantage of the Orbiter strats.
Yeah, he's one of the very few runners actually opting to go for an Orbiter strat, especially since we have found out how he can get more money later on down in Chapter 8. It makes it more of a reliable option to actually buy it if you would choose to do so. But it makes the quickest work of the knock-knock entirely, because every orb you see flying around with the Orbiter does 1 damage, and you have, I think, 8 of those flying around. You can manipulate them by slashing it.
And Chat picking up on the fact that Tky actually skipped one of the checkpoints in the underground section here before topside. I agree, I've seen Kyle do it as well, and we see Meshia going for a little bit of a different strat here. You can kind of thread the needle up into that gap. I respect the persistence, but Tky basically skipped one of the checkpoints in this section, so if he had have died, it would have been quite disastrous.
Yeah, both of our runners opted to skip the first checkpoint, which is dangerous, but they're at the point where they know that if they wait a little bit, the other one is going to catch up. I mean, they're really not that far apart from one another still.
So this SP dispenser is basically going to be our best friend, and you're going to hope to maintain it for the entirety of, well, basically as long as you can. You saw, or you heard mention a moment ago of, you know, kind of how we can get extra currency or extra essence in this game. The SP dispenser has a little bit of a unique property in some upcoming auto-scroller sections, where if the player is missing SP, you're in an auto-scroller and you're not actually controlling Shadow directly. So it wants to dispense SP, but it's like, you don't take SP, so have some money instead for some reason. And it just dispenses essence for that duration. So you'll see both of our runners basically trying to maintain their SP dispenser throughout the outskirts, which are notoriously difficult as is, and maximize the benefit. We get a little high five here again.
Yeah, it turns the SP dispenser basically into an ATM dispenser, where it just hands out free cash. But
I absolutely love that. How have we not called it the ATM dispenser before that? That needs to be a thing.
I don't know, I just call it like that. Sorry. But yeah, like you mentioned, Chapter 7 is very notorious. There's a lot of different places where enemies can hit you into spikes or asset pools. So losing that SP dispenser is definitely one of the heartbreaking things you don't want to see. But it can happen, and if it doesn't happen, it will happen in the first part of Chapter 8, because that is also an entire fest of spikes, of enemies hitting you in spikes, doors blocking your way. And just right before actually getting to that point, you have this giant dragon you see on Meshia's screen right now. And this giant dragon basically upgrades all our abilities. We can now charge up all of our abilities. So a shuriken becomes a kunai, for example. It gives us an upgraded dash, which we can now use to dash through enemies and actually deal some extra damage if it's charged. We get a double jump. And we have found all kinds of strategies with all the charged up versions that are actually useful, because we thought that the charged pogo was actually useless at first, until we figured out that Meshia has found a way to deal with it on the final boss. It's was really amazing when I first saw it. I was like, how are you doing this? But yeah,
the best part is
like,
the best part is too that it kind of overrode the existing strats so easily and so nicely too, because we were previously pogoing off things and trying to ideally get 3 slashes in, and it's just like charge pogo, it's like dun dun dun, health goes down. Love it. It's such a nice simple strat.
Yeah, it basically, because we were already pogoing off something else, it was really easy to adopt for a different pogo strat. You just had to wait a little bit differently.
You see Turkey's in the auto-scroller section that we mentioned previous, and getting that free money.
Yeah, the ATM dispenser is definitely doing its thing. Meshia is already almost there as well. He still has 3 health from the Chapter 7 SP dispenser, so that's madness. Or he might have picked it up during the run on a later point in Chapter 8, I'm not too sure. I think I didn't see it.
The funny part about this too is, like, if you watch the essence on Turkey's side, it varies between singles and doubles, but it doesn't seem to like alternate directly. It doesn't always seem to go like 2-1, 2-1. Like sometimes you get a bunch of ones in a row, and my brain is just like, how is this thing programmed? I just want to know. Oh, it looks like it's going 2s and 1s now. Oh, there's 2 1s in a row. Like how? What determines it? And there's the turtle bag.
Yeah, at the end part of that first part of the section, you want to hold right, get the turtle airbag in, goes a little bit more to the right. My belief is that if you are at the end of the auto-scroller section, you usually have to wait until the big missile destroys the entire screen. I think if you keep your bike a little bit more to the right, you exit the auto-scroller sequence just a little bit faster. Turkey not opting to go for the door clip. He has only 1 health on his SP dispenser, making it a very wise choice as the ATM dispenser now continues into the second exo section, which is basically a lot of damage boosts here. It's health management. You fire off your gun as quickly as you can to hit enemies up ahead. As you can see here, those flying green enemies, they deal 2 damage, bombs deal 2 damage, other things deal 3 damage, like purple or pink flames. And he has 3 damage right now. It looks very scary. He's on 1 health, but the checkpoint is right there. So it's a lot of health management here. A lot of jumping, a lot of shooting. And we're up to the mini-boss of the exo section, which of course we have to attack a battleship quite aggressively. We do it in 3 cycles. First one is here. We jump up, we charge the bullets. We fire even more at it, and it goes down pretty quickly. Sometimes, however, during the fight, robots appear from the right side, and I have no idea what triggers it.
Yeah, I don't know what triggers that either. It's kind of strange because it doesn't seem consistent at all. There's those random gray bricks that were added in the new patch for some reason. There's just like a couple extra blocks of a lump there after the boss. I don't know the point behind that one.
I started calling them dialogue blocks because they remind you, oh yeah, I can now use text skip, so let me hold those buttons quickly to make sure that I can go through this faster. Just a small side note, Meshia did get the door clip, so he's gaining a little bit of time on that decision. He has quite a consistent damage boosting setup for it. But yeah, here we are on the apparator part, which is quite obviously quite a nuisance. So we're trying to get out of this stun, mashing as quickly as possible, but he quickly dashes us into a wall. So instead of changing this into entirely different fights, unfortunately, we get blasted to bits.
But you get my favorite part. You get to watch SP get dispensed to Shadow's body. There it is, look at that. +1. Going right into the butt. I'm sorry, it's just hilarious to me. Like, the screen is about to fade in, and like the first thing you see is like a drop of water, and then you just see SP being fed to you, lying face down. None of you can unsee that now. You're welcome.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I never noticed it until you mentioned it. And after that, it cracks me up a little.
Oh my. This game has a lot of really fun stuff. Aside from the fun stuff that we just decide to arbitrarily make up and associate with it, like, Mecha did a great job putting in a lot of nice little Easter eggs and stuff, which is also fun.
Yeah, I have no idea why the SP dispenser, why the ATM dispenser becomes an SP dispenser again, while you're literally lying unconscious.
You look like you could use some help, SP. Oh my.
It does work like that.
Alright, both of our runners making it through the Gundam section without issue as predicted. It's not too terribly difficult. You usually have your own pattern of kind of what damage boost you voluntarily take, and it doesn't really vary from time to time. We see Turkey's making his way, returning to Mekacity as per the tournament name, and revisiting some old sections. Basically, this is kind of going to be a mashup of some of what we've already seen along the way before we get into Chapter 9.
Yeah, but the thing is, after Exo 2, the game isn't really that nice to you anymore. It tries to kill you, and it shows. You have the infamous Deathloop room, which our runners are just zooming through.
And Meshia always tackles without any health restore. There's a couple good and fairly fast options to restore health here. Meshia,
no!
These strats.
Yeah, Meshia unfortunately taking a death while he had the pogo ready to kill the enemy. It did, I think I saw fire off something, which unfortunately led to its death. And that's why we call it the infamous Deathloop room. Unfortunately, I didn't wanted an example for this, but it's a thing.
Yeah. Turkey, meanwhile, into 9. 9 is not a long stage by any means, but can be pretty daunting. There's things that do a lot of damage. There's some big mines in the water that do, well, I think the most damage of anything that's not an insta-kill in the game. There's one there. So you basically don't want to get Minesweepered.
That's an interesting way to call it like that. I'm going to copy that.
We've all been Minesweepered.
Oh yeah, one way or another. Those bombs deal like 5 damage or something. It's really insane, but if you get through it, that's really nice. Meshia unfortunately took another death as he triggered an alarm, and he is used to an alarmless strategy. So the difference between the Deathloop room is one feels a little bit safer, going for, of course, a bit of... Hang on, my brain is getting stuck trying to pay attention. The difference between those rooms is as soon as you trigger the alarm, enemies will spawn and you rely on those enemies to go through it. But if you do it alarmless, you have a different setup going for it. So if you suddenly trigger more enemies you're not used to, you have to adapt really quickly. And in that Deathloop room, that is near impossible to do it, to adapt to the speed our runners are currently going on. But yeah, with that, Turkey is already on our third auto-scroller of the day, and our final one as well. We are on a boat, and the thing you want to wish for our runners is whether they have a long boat or a short boat, or a fast boat. And the best thing you can have is a fast boat, which basically means that the ending sequence of this boat sequence stops faster. And otherwise, if you get a long boat, you have to wait an extra 10 to 15 seconds. I'm not too sure, I haven't timed it exactly. Consensus is on 10 seconds, you have to wait for no apparent reason. It's purely determined by RNG for as far as we're aware.
Wow. So that was an amazing boat for a couple reasons, and it's not, it was also a fast boat. It's not plain to see, but when you do dash attacks on enemies, there's like a small delay in the gameplay. So Turkey actually opted to use charge slashes for basically the entirety of that boat, saving himself a small amount of time.
Yeah, it is literally about 1 to 3 seconds that saves if you go for the full charge slash option. Because as you mentioned, those charge slashes, they slow you down sometimes, and that's not the thing we're trying to go for. Even though this dash gives us amazing speed, that small slowdown is in there, so you know what happens and you can react to what you're seeing.
Turkey actually refilling the SP dispenser there, taking the death. Did take a hit during the Combinatron fight. Otherwise, the Combinatron fight was great. Lots of time before the hands were going to hit down and the healing was going to start. So it wasn't bad by any means. Just unfortunately got bumped by the purple flames in the missile.
Oh. Turkey tried to go for the turkey roll strat. I didn't think he was going to try for it, but I think he might know he's a little bit ahead and he went for it anyway. Now he's opting out for the safe set. Turkey roll strat literally was discovered yesterday, so going for that in a race, he must feel pretty confident about it. So basically, let me explain it shortly. Turkey roll strat is basically you have an SP dispenser. And with that SP dispenser, you're trying to go through the rooms as fast as possible while the SP dispenser is still dispensing you SP, keeping you on the same SP level as you enter the room. And unfortunately, Turkey taking another death. Both of the runners actually going on. Oh, fuck! The bullets.
Oh.
It gives Meshia some time to catch up, but...
Chapter 10
like
showing its teeth.
Yeah, Chapter 10 is always a dangerous one, especially if you're thinking you have some time to go ahead. It must really put some stress on Turkey at this point because it adds up to his death. Ooh, unfortunately, also missing that. He has to restart that section again.
Oh. And this is another bad Deathloop section. Like, this is not an easy sequence, and it's very easy to get thrown off in any of this. And there's, again, so many just instant death spikes, or, like, I don't know, they look like some form of little electric spikes in this section. Thankfully didn't get all the way through that room because there's actually a lantern that most of us use in our strats for this room that is a one and done. So if he had to hit that, he would have had to actually opt in for a different strat the second time through because it wouldn't respawn.
Yeah, it makes you adjust to the strategy, and if you're already death looping at that point and you forgot the lantern is there, oh boy, you're in for a surprise. But yeah, Meshia up, going up to Combinatron as well. Certain positioning is used by most players to hit these two missiles, parry the missiles. They deal a ton of damage, quickly fixing it up with their quick rising fires, making quick work of Combinatron. Because those hands, they can heal him, and as soon as he enters the healing phase, you cannot do any damage to him at all. So you're stuck there waiting for him to heal as you're trying to figure out what went wrong.
Oh, very nice finish by Turkey. Almost got the complete eye open strat. Unfortunately had 1 health left when it closed, but if you use a charged shuriken, which is a kunai, it actually has an explosive impact that damages the eye even when closed. Unfortunately, Meshia taking a little bit of a fall there, but right next to the checkpoint.
Yeah, this is a very challenging room still. You're trying to meet a certain cycle as fast as you can, basically. It's quite a dangerous and daunting task to do. Because as soon as you miss a certain point, you have to adjust to the different platform cycles, different enemy cycles, and it's a challenge. With Turkey already on to the first part of the final climb, also relying on a bit of enemy AI there, taking the safer route, quickly jumping up there. We have this strategy, it's basically the right side. If you jump to your maximum height and then use a pogo, you gain a little bit of that extra height, and the pogo is just able enough to either hit an enemy or a lantern. So we're rising up to the top quickly, buys an extra SP dispenser, and we're going to fight our final boss, the Imperator. You didn't see that coming now, did you?
Alright, that was pretty by the books. It's you want to kill him basically as soon as he drops from that first laser attack. Charge slashes are the norm, used back and forth throughout the duration. Just make sure you don't send yourself off the side and you're all good to go.
Yep. And with that, we actually released the final boss by accident by defeating the Imperator. Someone called Dr. Progen now makes its way to the stage. And he spawns this thing that spawns projectiles. And we parry those projectiles. So I don't think he took that into account that we've become that strong at that point. Parrying those projectiles does a lot of damage to Progen's second phase. This is the charged pogo strat we were talking about earlier. The charged pogo has a bit more of an increased hitbox. And it is just enough to hit him when he's floating around there. But yeah, after parrying those projectiles, after pogoing on our progenitor third phase, we get to do a little small cutscene here. We have just a little bit of things to work off with. We have to, spoiler alert, free our master, and that will be it.
Yeah, and that's pre-Gs for Turkey. Really nice run all around, you know, a couple bumps there towards the end, but nobody is immune from having that happen. Cyber Shadow is going to happen, and still going to post an amazingly strong time here. Meshia doing the climb now as well. Full SP dispenser, looking comfy, has the currency to buy a new one at the top, should he need it. Yeah, really good job. I think Meshia might have had a little bit of race nerves at the start, and I think kind of settled in a little more nicely towards the end.
Yeah, we did see Meshia, of course, are going a bit for more explosive strats left and right. Of course, like you mentioned, racer nerves are definitely a thing. I mean, I'm at a loss for words, really. This is incredibly fast and incredibly well done so far. But let's watch Meshia actually trying to get through the last bit of the run for him. And with a very well done Imperator 1 fight, as far as I can see. Using Rising Fire, quickly wraps it up.
Of course, this is not the final of the finale. Oh no, this is the first match of the best of 3, so both of our runners going to be warmed up and feeling a little more comfy, and Meshia is going to have a chance for immediate redemption, as both of them have actually agreed to play out this set, even if it goes to 3 games. So we have one more for you folks, if not 2. We're going to give the runners a couple moments, of course, once Meshia finishes, to kind of take a minute. We'll play some tunes for you guys and whatnot, and we'll get everything sorted out and geared up for the next race room. But yeah, be sure to stick around. We have a whole nother race coming up.
Yeah, it seems to be really promising and really exciting what's going to happen after this. Because the first race, it gives you the nerves. The second race, however, you already mentioned, you're getting comfortable in there. I wonder what's going to happen to both of our runners, to be honest. But unfortunately, I will be leaving everyone behind. I have things to attend to. So I hope my follow-up commentator is coming in shortly.
I appreciate you offering to help out for the first one. We're supposed to have Kyle Berry, who's going to be joining for the next race. So that's kind of what we're going to do as part of this swap here during our little intermission. But yeah, thank you so much for all the help throughout. I know you not only participated in the tournament as well and improved your PB greatly during that time, but you helped out with commentary throughout the duration, so thank you very much.
No problem. I keep losing my English words for this, sorry. No, but I don't mind helping out if I can. I'm glad I could make time for this, because this is really intense, nice race to watch. I mean, putting down something like a 55 or a 57 during a race setting is incredibly difficult to do. And then it just, yeah, it humbles me. I don't have words for it. I'm just glad I couldn't do it.
And Meshia finishing up. Alright, I've got a 57.19 on my end race time. We're seeing a 57.21, which is not unusual. There's usually a couple seconds difference. But GG to both. Very, very strong times. Very good finishes. And I'm going to let our runners know that we're going to take a small moment. We're going to get the next race room geared up. And hang around, folks. We'll be back in a few. Alrighty, folks, we are back. Race number 2 is going to kick off momentarily. Make sure that I am keen and good to go on our splits here. And... Sweet. Awesome. So, race number 2. You know the matchup. You saw it a moment ago. We have Turkey versus Mashia. This is race number 2 of your semifinals best of 3 matchup. So we just saw both of our runners put away an easy sub-hour. Both of which had really decent runs with a couple hiccups here and there. Both in different sections. Turkey had a really incredible strong start and just had some hiccups in chapter 10. And then Mashia had a little bit of a bumpy start last run, but kind of picked it up mid-game and started bringing it back a little bit. So this is anybody's game. As per usual, Cyber Shadow can happen to absolutely anybody, and we are off and running. Alright, Chapter 1, as per usual, this stage of cycles, as you all know. We're going to see our runners come up to a set of platforms. They can perform what are known as ledge clips, both of them playing at 60 FPS. Turkey on PS4, you have Mashia on PC. But both of them playing at 60 FPS, which allows them to do the ledge clip tech. You'll see some examples of that shortly. First section, basically, really simple platforming and navigation. The game's just letting you get to know the ins and outs. Nothing too fancy. 5 health, 5 SP to start. Turkey is going to sit at the 5 SP throughout the duration. Mashia, based on last race and previous races, does enjoy opting in for the 6th SP, which is a free SP upgrade, essentially. That's at the start of Chapter 2. Takes only a few seconds to grab. Here's our first platform, and this is our section before the Smasher. This is all pretty comfy. Once you figure out your pattern through the turrets and how to deal with these ground enemies which activate based on your proximity, it's all pretty standard so far up to this point. Turkey hitting that checkpoint just a hair prior. Really nice first cycle by both. Excellent. So, Smasher, pretty simple, has a very set pattern. You can take out the turrets. Each of the turrets take 2 hits to destroy entirely. You just don't want to get crushed by it, or it's an instant kill. But other than that, the only difference between Phase 1 and Phase 2 is when it smashes down, if it's below half health, it does send some fire projectiles out to the side, kind of along the floor there. Turkey with a nice D-boost. This is kind of the first major room where you're really trying to hit a certain platform cycle, and it's upcoming here. Alright, Turkey up there, no problem. We've gotten to the point where this cycle is, and you can see Mashia actually had a little bit of trouble at the very start of the room, but still made the same cycle. We're going to see this very last reverse damage boost to see how both of our runners tackle it. This is a very long room. Turkey unfortunately getting knocked back, and Mashia as well, so both of them going to be on equal footing. But that's basically a really hard room to navigate because it's one long cycle-based room, so it's like a domino effect. Nice ledge grab there by both. Oh, nice. We have Kyle Berry joining us. I'm gonna go ahead. Hello, hello, welcome. Oh, I see Kyle's icon lighting up. Oh yeah, here we go.
Everyone.
Hey, there we go. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Go ahead and get you added to the commentary list here with me. Thanks for joining.
Very good. Thank you for having me. It looks like runners are making pretty short work here of a pair. They're going to go up and slash their toes with that wide part of the sword there. Nice kill for Turkey, and Mashia having a little bit of trouble but getting that boss down.
first race was pretty close. This one is definitely a little closer right off the bat. We saw Meshia kind of struggle to settle in first race, and Turkey had a really strong start last race. But this one looks to be just only a few seconds apart right off the hop, which is nice to see.
Yeah, you definitely love to see that. Going into Chapter 2, as I'm sure we covered in the last race, is going to be a pretty hectic level. We hope that nothing goes wrong. A lot of trash cycles. You're seeing a really good use of the damage boost off of a block there on Turkey's screen. Meshia, I believe, still goes for the SP pickup, yeah. So going to have extra SP in the run. Always nice.
Oh no, right before. Oh, okay, that was terrible. So unfortunately, Turkey took the death right before the checkpoint. That is a very unfortunate death because this is a very long section. It actually sets you back at the end of Chapter 1.
Yeah.
That is Cyber Shadow in a nutshell. That can happen a lot of places. We don't tend to see it happen as much early game, but of course nobody's immune, as we just saw. And had to kind of go through this whole platform section and wait for some of these platforms again. So this is going to give Meshia a lead to work with.
Absolutely. Getting some trouble on that fly. Meshia did have a 5 HP boss, but we'll see if the fly mother is friendlier for Turkey. Looked like a 3-hitter. It does help with that death to get out of that fly room a bit quicker, and just hope that, you know, Turkey can keep the momentum strong and, you know, get back on that pace.
Yeah, the big thing there is to not get rattled by that because it's very early on in the race. We know that there's tons of time left, and the last thing you want to do is kind of focus on that moment or what just happened, and it's very easy to get off kilter in Cyber Shadow. When you take a death loops are very much a thing. We saw
Absolutely.
Meshia made short work of Laser Brain, and I suspect Turkey's going to do the same.
Turkey opening up very strong with Laser Brain, getting those 2 crits and a 3rd hit per jump. That does look like an 8 jump, the perfect kill for Laser Brain. Very well executed.
Yeah, I don't think we could technically do it any faster. I don't think anyone's managed a 3 crit jump and still landed back on the trash pile at this point. I've not seen it.
You know, Task could probably do the jumps faster, like just with the height, but I don't think it would do it in less jumps.
I love that he's been dubbed Lazy Brain now, because we learned that if you actually take enough of that boss's health away fast enough, it just won't do anything. It won't shoot. It just, the turret's open and it sits there. So it's been dubbed Lazy Brain now.
The boss says, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going on break."
It's the weekend.
Yeah. Lazy Brain's a hard worker, always down here breaking trash. It's a thankless job. You know, if somebody doesn't do it, you see trash just start building up on this elevator, and our runners will now have to try to dodge trash and flies while staying awake on the elevator.
Staying awake is truly the hardest part.
Yeah, yep. Any slip up of your judgment and touching any spikes is going to be a huge setback. So certainly hoping that, you know, there it is. Turkey is past the last of the spikes. He's no longer going to die to the elevator.
I just realized there's this big menacing set of spikes on the ceiling, but you're never going to be able to touch those unless you purposely went back to this chapter and took the auto scroller. Fun.
A lot of neat little details in the art here. Meshia getting a really favorable trash cycle by the looks of it, and Turkey on pace to do the same. But wait once for a laser there, and anytime you've waited on those lasers, you know that after that delay, you should be able to just send it. Another good trash cycle as Meshia is tearing up Scrambler and knocking away his HP. Scrambler is going to get bounced back, but Meshia follows in with the Shuriken and finishes off that phase as well. One last-ditch effort, Scrambler will jump out of the suit and attempt to fight more or less on foot. However, staying in close, dodging the fireballs, Meshia is able to deliver plenty of damage and make short work of Scrambler. Turkey missing just 1 hit as he bounces back, so he is able to get the fireballs out and do some damage there, but as a very minimal time save, considering, or time loss.
Yeah, lost the Blade Extend. It's not really going to come into play too much because as we head into Chapter 3, you're going to see a series of damage boosts shortly into the chapter in the train section. So it's really not going to be a big deal that he's lost that during the fight and earlier. But it's kind of, I guess, nice to have for this if you want to take out the little green guys with a little more distance between you.
Absolutely. There's certainly no penalty for taking it further, so it hurts to lose your Blade Extend, but it's, you know, of course, never a large setback. Very scary in Chapter 3, you can accidentally fall into what looks like Nickelodeon Gak everywhere, and that is an instant kill, as well as we'll be seeing a lot of fiery death planes later on.
This level really does go from one extreme to the other. You got the neon green underground section with the goo, and then you have the instant death flames up top, and like Chapter 3 in general is kind of got a lot of different colors. You've got these green and red or orange robots down here in this section in the damage boost train. Kind of goes for a lot of palette variants. I don't think I've ever actually noticed that before.
Yeah, Chapter 3 is kind of a unique one. I really enjoy the flow music of this level, and of course the sudden spike in platforming difficulty. It's amazing how Cyber Shadow does this for like 3 levels in a row, culminating in Reactor just being this ultimate difficulty spike that tends to give us a lot of trouble in runs.
3 very much feels like a chapter of 2 halves. Like, obviously you have it distinguished by the music, but like visually it feels like 2 kind of separate sections, which is ironic because the music doesn't change until after you get kind of a glimpse of what the second half is more or less going to look like, and then second half you eventually get back to a little bit of the underground section.
Right.
But it very much feels like a stage of 2 halves.
I know, creeping through the sewers and then fighting on the streets of the city and back into the sewers and fighting Biohunter in the end. You're trying to get underground to escape is the lightning that he's calling down, trying to obliterate us. It's a really neat level. It kind of tells the story as you're moving through it.
Turkey's had a couple hiccups in this little section. Had to use the health refill at the end of the train, which it just takes a couple seconds to basically wait for the block to drop to do so. But it's taken a little bit of damage here as well. Don't know if just kind of trying to find that groove again after the earlier hiccup. Maybe just kind of consciously thinking about where he could be in relation to Meshia at this point. Some runners prefer to watch races so they have an idea of where their opponent is. This is not a randomizer. Our runners are of course free to do so. I don't know if anyone in this tournament's actually done that.
I haven't. It's certainly been tempting at times. You really do want to know, like, okay, where is my opponent? But at the same time, it can also be sort of freeing to just do your best run and then find out later. A really good snipe over the lantern from Meshia. If you don't end up sniping that second floating bomber, they can more often than not send you into that fire plane. One slip up, take some damage, and you die. Go back to the save before Hunter tank. It could be crushing. Hoping that Turkey is able to make that snipe as well, or at least wait it out and go with a safer backup. Excellent snipe, no problems. And there's the second set of snipes for Meshia. Looking very good, getting to this final checkpoint. You can breathe a sigh of relief, as that is a pretty volatile section of Chapter 3.
Yeah, who hasn't taken a fall into that flaming pit that Turkey's coming up to here with, again, there's that star.
Great snipe. And having that, it's pretty well lined up to get the second one and pass this section. Sort of a rite of passage to die in that pit. Good double shuriken from Meshia, getting these platforms to load up, and now just has to dodge some fireballs and close out the rest of Chapter 3. We will be approaching Biohunter soon, so it's going to throw more lightning at us. That damage from the rolling guy actually almost getting Meshia locked up into the lightning, which can do a lot of damage. I'm not sure exactly how much.
Iframes are deceptively short, Cyber Shadow.
Scary. Yes. Especially coming from like Messenger, it feels like the iframes are half. getting a Rising Fire to get that Swag Blade going. Machia has a sword on a string now and is going to be waving it all over Biohunter, just dealing 3 damage a hit.
Really good first phase. Lots of extra damage applied after the fact. Should be a really clean second phase. Yeah, didn't even move.
Wow. He just gets up there and finishes them off with Rising Fire before Biohunter has a chance to choose his next attack.
Turkey with a good first phase. Didn't get as much damage, so second phase is going to be naturally just a little bit longer, but still didn't move. Really good damage stacks with the Swag Blade and the Sword Slashes there. Very nice timing.
Good lineup to break that capsule with the Swag Blade as well. I find that really hard to do.
The runners were basically just granted the pogo attack. They can, as you see there, pogo downwards, and you can activate it again essentially during the drop to fast fall. It's basically going to put you on the ground wherever you are. There is no real fall duration or animation. If you use it from a high enough spot, as you'll likely see coming up here on Machia's side, it's going to appear at the bottom of this waterfall. Boop.
I love that spot. It's very satisfying to just, oh, I'm submerged in water all of a sudden. We're going to meditate at the Monkey Shrine and go into the Ethos to meet our ninja clan and learn how to climb some walls. If you can race the monkey to the top of this challenge room, you will gain the wall grab and climbing ability. It would be very useful for us going forward as we need to escape this hole we're in. Now, having the Swag Blade, it's a little dangerous, as the Swag Blade can take out the boxes that you want to platform off usually, but using some really good pogo clips there, Machia is able to make very short work of the climb. Now Turkey as well, just flying right up there. Choosing not to go for that higher lantern clip, that one can be a bit inconsistent, so just playing it strong there, right up, and let's see if we have a fire Shween. No Shween. I believe the Shween was only quote-unquote required if you have 69 essence at that point.
Look, we don't make the rules. Well, actually we do, but you still gotta follow them. Regardless of how silly they are. So we're gonna see how stage 4
entrance. Yeah, that looked like faster than I thought you could move when entering this level. Oh, taking a small hit, getting knocked back just enough. The shuriken did not hit that switch. Is going to set Machia back, but we'll hope for a cleaner right room.
Ooh.
Meanwhile, Turkey, no problems with that snipe. Beautiful flow. Going to see a small wait for that lower guy, and then throwing the shuriken from just a pixel too low. Machia tries again, gets it on the second.
Keep going with the hurry up and wait strats, opting to pogo off the enemy.
Yep. I feel most comfortable doing a pogo shuriken myself.
Yeah, otherwise you have to hit like the max pixel of your jump and like drop that shuriken at the absolute bare minimum height. It's take the second.
Yeah, the snipe can feel good, but are you feeling lucky? Alright, going into a ridiculously, like, all of a sudden this game got real. We thought that Cyber Shadow was hard, and then this room and reactor showed up with all of its cycles and everything doing 2 damage now. If you take your time, it's not that bad, but anything can go wrong. If you miss your timing by just a little bit and pogo too early into this tunneler Machia is bouncing off of and hit the spikes before the lights up, that hurts. That's 2 damage.
I feel like we've all done that. Like, if you haven't done that, you're not probably rushing like the rest of us, but it becomes a very quick lesson when you're trying to get down there as fast as possible and you body yourself on that thing.
Yep. We are seeing a bit of a smoother cyber lock for Turkey there, getting the under the ghost shuriken. This can catch up a little bit. Machia getting on for the Nutter Cycle. Very good. Turkey has been practicing it, and we are seeing 2 Nutter Cycles. Very nice.
Yeah, this is a match that's a matter of seconds now, and the death that Turkey took was quite extensive, so we can see that he's gradually making up time throughout the duration. That doesn't mean that Mecha Dragon can't spoil the fun and throw in an extra cycle for one of our runners and see how that goes. Could be a deciding factor, could be something that shuffles this up a little bit more, but right now it is extremely close.
Absolutely. Turkey has made up more than half a Biohunter since the Biohunters went down. Being about 3/4 of a Biohunter away from Meshia, and now less than a quarter away. Just in the same room. This is maddeningly close.
Got bumped the wrong way. He's going to have to alter the strat. Okay, going down through the middle, taking the damage boost strat. Knew he was off cycle there because he accidentally got damaged to the right off one of the earlier enemies.
Adjustments. It's a game of millimeters in this room where you can suddenly eat a spike and sorry, you're going back to the checkpoint. All right, Meshia is through. Turkey is hot on his heels.
We're talking
really
3 seconds.
It's coming down to Mecha Dragon here.
I feel like Turkey's going hard knowing that he had the early death. Like, I'm seeing some damage boost off absolutely everything, like through the little squid enemies there. No regard for the health, basically is pushing to try and do everything as fast as possible. And in this section, it can be hard.
I'd love to see that fight. Okay, not too much trouble from those platforms. Those guys can be definitely wacky, and descending past these jellyfish difficult as well. Meshia almost goes too early over that turret, and that almost certainly would have been a death, but fortunately able to take his time in that water and going to have to carefully pogo past these squid. All right.
The one health was woof.
Whew. And with that extra damage, Turkey has taken the lead. Both runners now approaching Mecha Dragon with their charge blasters in tow. They're going to try to use the blasters and the Rising Fire to deliver as much damage to the dragon as possible. Turkey getting a strong opener, but not as many of the Rising Fires connecting. Still, 1 more damage to Meshia. Close fights so far. Hoping that they have good platform positions and they're able to deliver enough damage for this 3 cycle.
Yeah, both of them actually got almost the same trouble with the second cycle there. Both having kind of a lack of overall platforms and at least one that they could deploy beforehand, and then having to kind of manage after the fact. Wow.
Almost in sync with that 3 cycle. Different positions for the kill. Really interesting reactive fight there. You really have to know it inside and out to really kind of know the best call in each moment. Well executed for both runners. I mean, Mecha Dragon can just decide it doesn't want to take as much damage from Rising Fire. There's your 3 cycle.
Yeah, after the first cycle, they were 1 HP difference on Mecha Dragon in terms of his health remaining. Both of them in the crystal section. Turkey's got one off to the right. Got some SP. Is he gonna throw a star?
Meshia just unloads all the shuriken. You'd love to see that deadly stream. All right. Yeah, Meshia barely back in the lead after that dragon. Wishing both runners a clean rest of the reactor. And 2 skips in chapter 5. Let's keep these charge blasters going. Well, I'm not sure what Meshia is running. If they will opt for the E field or keep the charge blaster.
Last run went for the E field. Not sure if it was because of the blaster getting damaged on the way between Mecha and the defense fight, the vessel defense fight, but went for E field last time. Both runners got first and second skip last run.
Very nice. I guess as to be expected of the grand finals, but that is very impressive. So far so good, hoping these charge blasters stay healthy. Out of the worst part, but not out of the woods. Okay, very good pogo cleanup for Meshia, and Turkey is out clean as well. We'll be buying the E field anyway.
Wow, that is sync.
Respect that choice.
Holy heck. They entered the door at the exact same time. Like, that fade out happened at the exact same time.
It looks like Meshia is actually going through text a little bit slower there.
does Machia know about the new tech skip? Or perhaps Turkey's actually mashing. So
I'm wondering if Turkey's doing tech skip and mash,
yeah.
or Machia's not doing tech skip. Like, but definitely looked slower, right?
Yeah, it was. And I was trying to tell if it was character limit related, but I think I don't think Machia is using the auto tech skip just based on when, like, watching that text progress faster and like it almost stuttered before it started to progress. I wonder if Machia is just mashing at the moment.
That's scary.
For those that don't know, the new recently introduced patch added a tech skip, and it had what a lot of speed games run into with tech skip, where mashing is hard on the arms, and it's always nice to have the automated option, but the automated option ended up being slower than we can mash. We ran into that with the Messenger as well, and Sabotage ended up kind of like amping up the tech speed skip. In this case, we've discovered that it's fastest now to use the automated tech skip, but also mash.
Yep.
We got what we wanted, but we're still greedy.
We want to go faster. That shows you how scary Machia is as a runner, not having that extra bit of time save from the mash and still being just right behind Turkey here.
Yeah, Turkey's got the one hit on the blaster. Machia is still at full health, but both, again, just within a second of each other, handling themselves well through Chapter 6. You know, if there's any Mega Man 2 runners in the chat or anyone that's aware, this is kind of like our own Purple Hell. Thinking about it now. All the spikes.
Not a runner, but I know the level.
Yeah, exactly. It usually extends past the immediate crew who actually plays the game because it's notorious in and of itself. But it's spiky, it's easy to take a death. We've got these sub-weapons we want to keep safe for 2 skips. Yeah.
I've fallen in those last spikes before. Made the skip and then just died.
Oh no.
Because I didn't grab the wall. Okay, you see Machia just taking that switch out from, like, basically across the world with the E-field. Turkey does have to get in closer and smack it with blast, but now both runners full health. No longer console advantage or anything. Have to take this damage soak unless you intentionally damage boost on the way up, which is perhaps not advised in a race. Yes, Mega Man 2 has the metal saws.
So Alpha putting the squeeze on. So that's basically the little voluntary time loss that our runners are going to be taking in hopes of making that up and more with the second skip.
All right, still 2 hits for Turkey and 3 for Machia. I think they're both going to make it again. Knock on wood.
Very nice turn back by Turkey. Saw he didn't hit the spider and actually doubled back under it when it jumped and hit it from the right side.
I feel like that's the only a maneuver you can pull off when you've seen that enemy screw you over enough times.
So we're going to see varying Alpha 1 strats just based on the different sub-weapons here.
Yep, Turkey will probably be going full aggressive and staying on Alpha for as many slashes as possible. That is a very clean right side kill. I think he only missed 1 slash. And then Machia taking a little bit longer, but just going to tank that damage and not risk losing any hits on the E field. Just having absolute 3 HP on the way to the second skip. And will not even have to fight Alpha 2 because he'll be able to open the door from the other side.
Well, he'll still have to fight Alpha 2, but it won't come into play in regards to the skip.
Thank you. That's certainly an important correction. We haven't found a way to skip Alpha 2 yet, but
would be nice.
We take the fear out of it.
You holding out on us, Kyle?
No.
All right, neither of our runners getting narc-orbed, as we've now dubbed it.
Okay, I could step to that terminology. Narc-orb.
The thing you don't want to get known for. Alright, Alpha 2. Turkey's going to have to maintain the blaster. Machia just activated skip number 2, so a sub-weapon does not matter at this point.
I really like Turkey's parries on the rise with that jump. It looks very precise and looks like it actually gets the sword to send the parry before the sword can actually hit Alpha. So that causes you to do 3 damage instead of only 2 by connecting with the sword.
I believe Turkey's started doing a rising fire at the start, like for the very first hit. I believe I saw it last race, which was new to me as well. There's the second skip blaster version. But really nice opener to just rising fire, jump, and time the slash at the same time to help kind of push towards that 1 cycle, which is possible but very notoriously difficult on Alpha 2.
That's cool. I haven't thought about rising fire. I've been very curious about charge blaster setups, but haven't nailed anything. So both runners now getting the D. The game is now getting very fast and very cat jam. I hope a runner decides to save their ninja friend, but of course Turkey's in it for the race.
Turkey didn't save the animals.
Sail past him. Okay, well, you know, Machia not saving the animals either. There's no moral gain either way.
Something Thanksgiving, I don't know.
All right, and really just seeing the usage of the dash, keeping that aerial momentum and chaining it into other abilities like the pogo, it becomes this really versatile tool we can use to fly through the levels. Machia opting to kill the E field on that turret. I wonder if he doesn't want to lock himself out of the next room by slashing the switch as you slash that gate. You could potentially lock yourself out with the E field.
I've seen it more than once now.
Happened to me once.
Probably never again.
Hopefully.
Yeah, the blaster doesn't really serve any much, like, it doesn't serve any real, you know, beneficial use throughout Chapter 6. There's nothing really kind of specifically that we're going to use it for. There's nothing like, hey, you have this so you can do this. I think really the only potential that you're going to see out of the blaster in 6 is a modified tunnel cleaner strat where you can start off and you can kind of hit the eye with that first blast from the blaster and a slash, and you can kind of get a little more initial damage off the hop. But throughout the stage itself, you're not going to really see any different strats between the 2 runners, despite Turkey having that blaster.
Right. Excited to see this tunnel cleaners. This blaster's looking healthy going into it. She had just a couple rooms behind, but doing fine on SP and no hiccups yet. Let's hope that Turkey can deliver all of the hits. It looked like just 2 damage. The blast may not have... Oh, he's saving it.
Yeah, I think last race it looked like he actually waited for the eye to open a little bit, and I actually believe it looks like he might be damaging down to lose it, because he bumped toe on tunnel cleaner. So I think he actually damaged down to lose it here on purpose, if I'm not mistaken.
That's cool.
Yeah, last race was started the fight by letting the eye open completely and then hit the slash and the initial kind of like large charge shot.
Right.
I love that we're still coming up with different ways to do this. Machia, unfortunately, missing the bomb overlay. Not the end of the world, just a few seconds.
Parry follow-up. Yeah, Turkey almost had that thing. The thing was on 1 HP as the bombs were coming out, so that was truckloads of damage, to be certain.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
That guy.
Ah, guy again.
Oh, like that guy again.
And just dashes through him and skips the second bullet.
The great thing about the knock knocks, at least when they're dying, despite the wall not being gone, it's actually not there. So like it'll visually still be there, but you'll see our runners
knock,
like
knock.
Right through.
That does feel really good. Just the confirmation, like, okay, it's a kill, I'm going. Next room. Take good dashes up to the wall. Turkey's taking an unfortunate smack from that fireball, but I don't think he's skipping the checkpoint anyways. It doesn't really matter. And he skips the checkpoint.
Yep, he did last race. Both of them did last race, so this will be interesting to see.
I definitely respect that. These sewers are not something you want to mess with. They tend to go all right for the most part, but you know, any slip up, of course, and then things are scary. But she at least having the Orbiter going to be significantly safer, I think, going through the sewers up until the SP dispenser, and then we say bye-bye to the Orbiter. Because once we have dash, SPD dispenser is king.
So Meshia actually goes for this little corner strat, now opting to try and set this up again. I love the strat. I just question the use in this exact setting, in this matchup. It might not be something that you want to try multiple times, but I absolutely respect going for it.
Same. Big respect to Meshia going for the hard skip. I believe that was a shortcut Sabera and Macia found early on.
I believe so, yeah. It's kind of had some history of like, we knew about its existence, but nobody really wanted to do it. And then you get to
dash stuff, and Meshia's like, "No, look, it works. Here it is."
And then like there was, because originally you could kind of like fudge your way through that gap if you just brute forced it enough, and then it came the, well, if you do the pogo, it becomes easier to thread yourself through that gap.
Right.
Not easy, but easier. We see both of our runners, of course, picked up their free SP dispenser. This is going to be their best friend. They're going to hope to cherish and carry this for as long as they possibly can.
Well, both honoring their dispensers, full HP going up to the dragon. Meshia having some trouble with these flies, definitely going to take some time to preserve that dispenser. You always hate to see these flies come up on you like that. It is a horrifying sight, especially if your dispenser's been damaged already. But fortunately able to dodge all of those flies and get here with 3 HP. If he has another clean cyber dive, then we could be looking at a double fast Chapter 8. Which, that being my favorite part of the game, being the opener to Chapter 8, very excited to see how Turkey's going to be flying into that stage just as soon as he can exit this Dragon Shrine.
Yeah, the return to Mekacity stage, infamous in and of itself. Of course, that's also the name of our tournament, and not only after the stage, but then we had a one-night-only tournament. I guess it was a day more than night, but we had a one-night-only tournament back in March, shortly after the game's release, to kind of get people involved and keep people interested. So this being our follow-up tournament to that event, figured Return to Mekacity was not only topical, but fitting.
Good eponymous stage name there. I definitely like the usage. This is what I want to say the longest level in the game.
Yeah, I believe it is, and it's right before, I believe, what is the shortest level in the game.
Right, with no bosses nonetheless in docks.
Got auto scrollers though.
This level has one boss, I think. It has the ship.
We're using the term boss loosely there, but yes.
There.
I feel like that's one of the easiest feats in the game, where it's like, beat the ship in 30 seconds. It's like, you can take more than 30 seconds to beat the ship?
You can, but you'd really have to be respecting the boss's distance on your first encounter or something. As opposed to taking Exo's advice and, as we'll see, attacking aggressively. Alright, so Turkey expending some SP there, getting that essence playing back as going into Exo. You don't want to be full SP on the bike. Although I've heard that wall that you break can actually drop SP as well, so that's horrified me ever since.
Diane said that it goes from SP dispenser to ATM dispenser last run, and I kind of geeked out a little bit and said that we now need to start calling it the ATM dispenser.
Oh, unfortunate tag from the Ghost for Meshia, but nice dash through the top one, and 2 HP, plenty of HP left for the dispenser. That will even be enough for a nice damage boost wall clip later.
Knowing that they have this extra currency already in their back pocket after the first auto-scroller section, you may even see our runners opt into refreshing that dispenser before the second one if they feel that it's necessary. Once you hit this point and you're looking at, you know, a couple hundred essence, you're basically set for any mandatory buys, or what we would consider, you know, typical buys within the route. All you're doing at this point and getting currency throughout the end and the second auto-scroller is really kind of providing yourself some luxury, maybe a full health refill if you need it in a pinch at one of the checkpoints. There's notoriously one after the XO2 section, which you may see our runners take advantage of. Meshia typically goes into that section with 1 health, as we saw last run and previous races, so we'll kind of see what the strat is there. It got burned for it last race, ended up taking, I believe, 2 deaths in that room.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was a little bit of a rough time, but that room is notorious for killing not only runs, but people's spirit, because death loops are real.
I love the feeling of sending it at that room with 1 HP, but it is an unpredictable room sometimes. It should behave the same every time, but you will not, and that will change the room as well. Alright, on to second EXO for Turkey. Once again, ATM machine is at it with lots of essence in the background, going to have plenty of luxury space for that HP refill, and I do believe that's the play in a race. I respect anyone that chooses otherwise, but it's what, 50 for full health versus, you know, a death loop.
The best thing is it's faster than our previous situation, which a lot of our runners used to save and quit out because you respawn with the 5 health, or just take an intentional death because, again, respawn with the 5 health. But if you manage to keep your SP dispenser and you get all of this extra essence and you're sitting on over 200, buy yourself the full health. Make that room a little less scary. It's faster than the save and quit. It's faster than the intentional death. Meshia with a nice clip through the wall there on the right-hand side.
Absolutely. You can always use it on random refills, even the SP refill before Spider Rail, if somehow you don't get your SP back. You will only need really 100 essence for the SP refill and dispenser before the final fight. So, like, that's the last kind of important upgrade that I think about purchasing.
And even the 100 in that situation is kind of a little bit gracious, because if you get up there with a couple SP out of 5 anyways, your SP dispenser is going to top you up before the fight begins. So even having the extra 100 there, the extra 50 is kind of like a luxury, where you only really need the SP dispenser, but in a pinch situation where you're going in with none, it won't fill you up entirely before the fight, and you're going to want to buy the full SP too.
That's a really good call out. If you have to choose between SP dispenser or the refill, get the dispenser.
Oh, heck yes.
It'll do you good.
It has lasting and staying power.
So, unfortunate F in chat for Turkey's EXO. Meshia going through the latter part of EXO 2. We'll see if his EXO has any better luck.
Now we see the SP being distributed to the bum.
Not an ATM dispenser anymore.
Yeah.
Lost that account.
You're face down in the dirt and it's like, you need help. Have SP.
Cheerful message of inspiration from your friends that you'll play. Please try again. That was just thanks.
It's thoughtful. It's trying its best.
Really clean entry into this section for Turkey so far, opting for the health refill. Definitely a wise purchase, as he's just going flying top route along these turrets, and then I like how he sinks to the left of all those bombs. You know, no like drops or anything that could be misconstrued in inputs, but just letting gravity do most of the work there.
I love at the very end the parry on the little like pink homing shot from the guy on the left hand side as you drop down. Like very intentionally, you could see didn't rush the stomp down, because if you try and pogo too quickly there, that pink shot will hit you in the face and you will die.
That guy is very well placed. He's a sniper and he loves to end your dreams. Even if you expect, like, okay, I'm going to parry it, well, you know, if your parry misses, then you die, I guess. A bit of trouble here at the end. Yep, Turkey fortunately has the health now to survive it. Almost died to that saw blade in the last room, but was able to take his time. Meanwhile, Machia, 1 HP in a dream, just going right through. Hasn't triggered the alarms yet.
No alarm strats, as per usual, and sitting on full HP for that SP dispenser. So this is one of those unique situations where Turkey's not going to have the option of a buy for a new SP dispenser, and there's not one that he can pick up for a period of time. So if Machia can keep this for any period of time, basically, it's going to claw back small amounts of time just incrementally as we go.
I mean, hey, the run is advanced. Turkey's almost in Chapter 9, but it is far from over. Really clean ladder 8 movement from Machia here. Going into the reactor look-alike. I don't like this part. I'm hoping it's friendlier to my friends.
Worth noting too, I don't think we actually touched on the fact that your moves do act different depending on whether or not you have SP available. Your dash, if you destroy an enemy with it, will always generate a free SP, which will kind of track towards you. And that was a little bit of a unique line from Machia. Oh, I liked that. I've never seen that before.
That was really cool. He did the through the wall detonation and then...
Yeah. Has unfortunately ran into a pretty scary scenario here. You do not want to take damage from those.
No, those hurt. Fortunately, getting out of there with 3 HP, this should be safe enough. Plenty of SP to dash through the rest of Chapter 8. Good, he's past the turret. I think we're alright. Meanwhile, Turkey is just flying through these docks. Yep, zipping straight through those projectiles. You love to see that weaving. Good 3 dash. Nice timing and rhythm through the turrets, of course, and he's onto the boat.
What did Machia buy? I don't even remember at that checkpoint.
He bought the what was that called? Salvager, I believe.
Okay, that's what that is. Okay.
That will take off the electric orbs from these guys and allow you to like pogo off of them, as well as giving you some SP. Unfortunately, not getting all the way up there, but really nice recovery of the side of that ship.
I've never thought to buy that. That's interesting. I like it.
I tried it out because I was having trouble with the rolly guys on docks, and it's actually pretty neat here for the extra SP you can get on the mini-boss section.
I mean, if you have the extra essence, why not? I totally like that strat. That's great.
Well, we never see it in the run, so it's really cool to see that included here in the Grand Finals, no less. Wow, okay, he just takes out 4 things with 1 rising fire. That's beautiful. Just moving right through. So essentially doesn't have anything to worry about with approaching those, as the Salvager will just take the orbs.
Yeah, just like gobble them all up.
It does have a limit, but it's a pretty beefy limit, as it just converted all of those purples and set itself to recharging.
Huh, interesting. I like it. We see Machia's getting on the boat, and Turkey just got off the boat.
But it does not scrub the fire off the deck of the boat. I was really hoping it would scrub the flames and, I don't know, faster boat? I mean, slower boat, slower boat! Long boat, long boat!
So this is a scenario where Turkey obviously has the lead, but we saw what happened in Chapter 10 last run. Turkey really, I think, took, I want to say, 3 or 4 deaths maybe in this section. Some of them were pretty punishing. So we're going to see, there's one there. Knew he was going to probably go for it the once.
I respect that.
Yeah. Going to expect him to maybe wait for the platform on the second try, but we'll see. Yeah.
That's so scary, but I respect the momentum play a lot. He's just blasting through Chapter 10. You might as well keep going a little crazy. Going to go back and get the SP recovery. I respect that. This room is terrible without SP.
Knows' essence is good for the end game anyways. Sitting on 86, we're going to have that 50 that we mentioned. Probably also going to pick up an extra 13 between now and then anyways. So it's going to be very comfortable. There it is. There's up to 98.
Wow. Just like that. He is opening up really strong on Combinatron with the Rising Fire. Going to have to be careful not to send him into an early heal phase, but looks like we are okay.
She was moments away from getting the healing hands.
Yeah. Yep. I think he slowed down a little bit after the fires just to kind of wait out the attack. Excuse me, I'm not sure, but very happy there was no healing hands in that situation.
Yeah, was posting examples recently when you're discussing strats and unfortunately taking a death there. And had skipped the checkpoint. Silver lining, you get the SP dispenser back. Unfortunately, you have to go through these couple rooms again.
And maybe part of the plan, although that checkpoint, it definitely hurts the best.
Yeah. It's become pretty typical from what I've seen. He seems to skip that checkpoint regularly. Turkey sending back onion rings and making short work of Spider Rail as per usual.
The strat choice is definitely inspiring me as a runner. This is crazy.
Turkey is one climb and final boss fight away from taking this, and we see exactly what happens with the climb.
The climb.
The climb. Yeah.
Oh, really friendly Phantom guys there. Nice climb.
Yeah, the mulligan was clean.
It's always like never the first try, right?
She's doing a lot better, still has that SP dispenser, hasn't taken any damage, so this is going well on right side. Turkey into the final trio of bosses of this tournament, should everything go well.
It's possible. He could still die to Progen. But that doesn't seem likely. Making pretty good work of a pair here. And we are going right into Progen 2 as soon as he finishes telling us his life story.
I haven't seen any lunch money today. I love the new starting of that fight, by the way, so it's really nuanced, but our runners have started to use Rising Fire because when you knock away the shield portion of Progen at the very first phase here, you kind of get knocked back a little bit, so you preemptively do the Rising Fire, so when he first becomes vulnerable on the first frame possible, that existing Rising Fire hits, and then you have a second charged Rising Fire following it up. I love that I've seen our runners start to do that.
That's cool. I've just been going for the charge, but I like that. So you Rising Fire, charge, Rising Fire, and then get the damage and avoid knockback.
Yeah, so the first one's uncharged because it takes the shield out, and then you follow that one immediately with the charged one because then that one applies the charge damage for the first hit, and you spam the rest.
That's smart.
Oh, yeah. Someone in chat just said, I don't think I've seen any of our runners die to the final boss.
Well, be careful, Turkey. Be careful. He's got swords.
Okay. Very, very smart in waiting that out. Knew that the upward blade attack was going to become available. Didn't have any SP, do the downward strat. Pre-Gs for Turkey on what is the Return to Mekacity Spring Tournament finale.
Just a boss behind. Very close race. Mashia coming in very strong. I think our runners just had a couple of deaths between them. I'll say like 5 tops.
Yep, so we saw the same starting there on Mashia's side. Very
That's
early
great.
first Rising Fire, hit just as it reached the top, and then followed up immediately with the charge one. I love that.
I learned from Mashia to use the shuriken as well when I'm returning to dispel the shield.
Yeah, I believe that was his initial earlier strat.
Really cool stuff. Mashia's always been just a gold mine of awesome and interesting strats. And I think we might hope to see some charge SP pogos here.
And honestly, I'm really glad we were able to include Mashia in the tournament. You know, we rely on the powers of Google Translate, but we make it happen, and I'm just overjoyed that he's comfortable enough to participate with our other runners who are, you know, primarily English speaking. It's great to cross those borders and break down those walls. GG Turkey.
GG Turkey. Well done. Absolute fantastic race, showing that strong fortitude coming from a Chapter 2 devastating death, honestly. And making up 3/4 of Biohunters to bring it back into the latter half. It's like exactly what you said he had to do after the death. He stuck to it and got the race done.
Yeah, it ended up being really close again. You know, our runners easily pulling out again sub-hour times, which is no small feat. And the fact that we just saw 4 of them collectively across 2 races in a matter of a couple hours is, well, you got to appreciate it.
The consistency of these runners it's mind-boggling. Like as a runner of Cyber Shadow, when you're looking at your times and thinking, okay, where can I save some time? And then you look at these guys, it's just sort of harrowing. It's like, I know the time is there, but I don't know where I could get it. They're so consistent.
All right, Mashia's going to come in with a 56. Damn.
Outstanding.
And that is your tournament, folks. Honestly, it's been a lot of fun. We're, of course, going to see if we can get our winner in here to have a quick chat with us. Usually likes to take a quick moment after the race, which I can totally respect as well.
Oh, Narc with the 10 sub bomb.
Narc, thank you so much. That is the second time today. I really appreciate that.
It's such generosity. Narc is a legend.
The support throughout the tournament for the runners in the tournament overall has been nothing short of phenomenal. This is kind of like the first big event that I've done outside of GOC and the normal charity stuff that I do throughout the years. The ONOT was kind of our testing grounds where we got our feet wet. But everyone's been amazing to work with and to have help out throughout the duration. Kyle, thank you so much for helping with commentary multiple times and participating in the tournament as well. You came in very much as a late stage runner who is very keen to learn, and you blew everyone away with, you know, how much you progressed with the game in such a short period of time. And we're joined by our tournament victor, Turkey.
Welcome in, Turkey. Congratulations.
Oh, Discord might be Discord for Turkey. Don't worry about it. Try this again.
Discord, it's fine. Welcome in, Turkey. Can you hear us? Give him a second while I say that.
I'm guessing not. So he normally joins us via mobile. We'll see what happens. He could be having connection issues. We're getting a message typed in Discord here, so we'll see.
We'll just get a sec.
Keeps disconnecting when he's moved. Well, we could try to pile into the racer chat.
Yeah. Yeah, let's try it.
Alright, we're going to move over to racer chat. We're going to let Turkey connect solo because that way we don't have to move and we'll see what happens.
Yep. Modern problems require modern solutions.
Totally. How about now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Alright, awesome. Congratulations on your victory.
I'll take it.
Congrats.
I don't know. Now that was a unique way for Discord to balk on me. It's like, I was fine, and then as soon as you moved me to that chat, I just went disconnected and wouldn't do a damn thing. It was like, what? Alright, sure. Damn you, phone.
So, congratulations first and foremost on a streak of victories throughout this entire tournament. You, like many runners, have continued to bring your time down throughout the duration, which is really what I love to see, and I love to see people involved, and there's been a lot of kind of like theory crafting of new strats, and you guys have been hard at work. You had a couple races that were a 54 and a 55, if I'm not mistaken. Looked like the first race was a little bit bumpy around Chapter 10, but really solid up until then. And then the second race, you had obviously the early death, and you kind of clawed it back as we saw throughout the duration. How did you feel about both of the races today? Was there anything that kind of stuck out?
Chapter 10 being bumpy in the first one is being nice. I know what went wrong. The initial death that happened there, that was because of something I was working on last night. And because I was intentionally skipping the checkpoint so I can go back to the dispenser to actually practice the method. So I kind of did a jump very late, and then for some reason I chose not to pull back and just went, well, there's a pit, fine, well, okay, whatever, carry on. In general, a bit of a mixed bag overall. I mean, it's not like I had the option to do resets, which obviously I'm able to do during a general session. So in terms of races, back-to-back runs, I ain't going to complain. High 54, low 55 is still very respectable, still a high-end time. So I don't feel as I've done bad. The main disappointment is having just basically one run that was going on for 53, and then it just went completely down on Chapter 10, and basically had a bit of a reverse on the second run where it all went wrong at the start. Mainly Chapter 2, but I guess Chapter 2 does Chapter 2 things. I wasn't expecting that death, though. I was pretty sure I had enough space to squeeze in, then I got bonked. Like, oh, you beep, beep, and boop.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point that we made initially was, you know, we saw that first death in Chapter 2, and it's super punishing, and even, like, mentally it's punishing because it takes you back to the end of Chapter 1. And so, like, for me, seeing the end of the last chapter and not even being in the chapter that I just died, it is so disheartening. And that block section is, of course, not the fastest, and we watched you make up the time throughout the duration, and you were essentially neck and neck coming out of Mecha Dragon, trading leads within a second, basically. It's definitely something to watch. Like, it's something to watch in terms of how it all fell in the end, but nobody's immune to Cyber Shadow, as you know.
Oh yeah.
I heard through the grapevine the other day that you had gotten a PB, I believe yesterday, Antelope was saying?
Yeah. The last one I did last night, and I was planning to do one more after that, but we ended up working on a couple of things instead. But yeah, my PB is now down to a 52:38.
That's amazing. Congratulations on breaking another minute barrier.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to happen by that much, but there's still room. I mean, we're theorizing a low 52 might be doable, even if everything was literally perfect with the RNG and execution. Maybe you could just squeeze a 51, but that's requiring a literal perfect run for 50 plus minutes, which in general that doesn't happen very often. That's not an easy thing to perform. But yeah, in terms of that, it was, for me, it was kind of comical because I say someone joined in the chat at the time, and it was late for them as well as for a few of us. I said, no, you can't go to bed because I'm going to basically say, I'm going to pull off a 52 now. Like, jokingly, I didn't think I was actually going to do it. I said, watch it now. If I do it now, I'm just going to give myself a slap in the face. And it happened. It was like, oh. Well, camera goes on, slap myself in the face, call it a day. It was weird, but...
That was the run where I was leaving. I've been watching some spicy faces and heard that line, and I guess that became the 52:38. Congratulations. And welcome in Meshia-san. GG on the races.
By the way, thank you. Sorry, I am at English.
It's okay.
Okay. I was disappointed last race, but I'm glad I was able to do my own move this time. Congratulations, TKY.
And you, sir. GG's. It was a fun final.
And we were saying earlier that thank you for joining the tournament as well. We know that language barriers can be a little bit scary. So we're glad that we were able to include you in the tournament, and you did very well. And you're always contributing very great strats to the Discord and to the community. So thank you for that.
カイルベリーさん、日本語わかりますか？
わかりますか？難しいでお疲れ様でした。
Thank you.
So that,
the chapter 8, no alarm, very, very impressive.
Very scary. So yeah, that about wraps it up for the Cyber Shadow tournament. Thank you everybody for participating. Thank you everybody that supported the tournament, that watched our racers. Make sure that you go follow our racers. They're regularly playing the game and they're always putting up new times. Thank you to everyone that helped out with commentary throughout the duration. I am only one guy, so I appreciate having the extra hands and voice to help go over the races.
You absolutely crushed it. Thank you so much for all the hard work you've done just for the community and letting us help out and be part of it. Thank you.
I do it because I love it, and honestly the community is the sole motivator for this. If you guys are looking for a speedrun community to join, feel free to join the Discord. Any one of us are willing to help you get into the game. And keep an eye out for the future. You know, this is the first real major tournament that we've done with Cyber Shadow, but it doesn't have to be the last. So we've got some other things coming up in future, and keep an eye out. We may have another one sometime down the line.